Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here, and with my next Legend of Korra Book 3 Change episode commentary. This is going to be the commentary for K306, Old Wounds. To set up your episode so it'll be synced up with my commentary track, what you need to do is have the episode ready to start with the intro to the show, so including the Kyoshi, earth, fire, air, water bit, and so have that ready to basically press play and get started. I'm going to stop speaking in a moment, and then when I start speaking again, that's when you hit play, that's when you'll be synced up with my commentary track. So I'm going to stop speaking now, hit play when I start speaking again. Okay, so here we are with the episode commentary for K306 Old Wounds. Basically a part 2 to the last episode, the Metal Clan. We get more Lin and Sue issues, and in this episode specifically shows us, I suppose, the cause of them, shows us some nice flashback stuff. And it actually ends up being an interesting episode in that we don't get flashbacks for the Red Lotus, but we do for Lin. And I like the Lin, Sue, and then Toph plot as it comes into play in Book 4. But I think in this book, the villains needed backstory more than Lin did. I like that it's resolved in this episode with the Lin and Sue stuff, but the villains were in desperate need of backstory, and you kind of look on the book at it, and it seems a little bit disjointed just with some of the stuff going on in that, we're focusing on this Beifong stuff for these 2 episodes, which takes 2 episodes effectively away from the Red Lotus and away from the Airbender plot that's going on in the background. But still a really solid episode. It's a bit of a hard one to criticize because they're good episodes, they just end up taking the place of other stuff that the book could do. And here we go. Lin never offered to train Korra in metal bending, but Sue thinks it's important that Korra learn it. Yeah, busy few months. It's just like, yeah, I had a lot to do. Book 1, Book 2, a lot of stuff to do. And so Sue is going to teach Korra how to metal bend. And Korra becomes the first metal bending avatar. And then we also get Bolin attempting to, he learn metal bending. And this is an interesting setup because they lead you to believe that he can do it if he tries hard enough, and he has a specific moment where he unlocks it. And then they tease it, nothing happens, and then all of a sudden, lava bending. And it's a really cool reveal, works out well, just while watching it, it was getting frustrating, the amount of teases that they had. And yeah, here we go, magnetism. Ends up being somewhat of a setup for the EMP, not fully in that, the idea of, a magnet that attracts stuff to it isn't really used so much. It's more just EMP to destroy electronics sort of thing. But yes, and here we have Lin kind of suffering because of the emotional impact of what's going on here. And this is effectively Zuko alone. Not Zuko alone, the Earth King. Zuko, as he is in the Earth King, obviously, he has a physical sickness because of a decision that he made rather than anything physical happening to him. And effectively the same thing is happening to Lin here. She's dealing with the fact that she's around her sister again and is kind of repressing her past feelings and stuff like that. And that is affecting her physically here. And he offers to give her acupuncture, which is interesting because he's revealed in an episode or 2 to be working for the Red Lotus and a villain, yet he helps one of our heroes here. It's kind of a weird one, but you can tell that he's I suppose the Red Lotus are idealists and that they will help people, but their ideals get in the way of being fully good. But yeah, acupuncturist, and yeah, here we go. Some Red Lotus stuff. And this is a problem. I don't like the Red Lotus in this episode. It's such a waste of use of time. What they just said there about, what about the president? He's going to have to wait. That is that they were going to plan to basically take out the president at this point in time, but they decide to instead leave the city and search for someone else, being the Avatar, Korra. I don't like that they spend, 5 minutes of an episode escaping the city just showing off their powers, which is cool and all, but it's time that could have been spent like while they're kind of waiting for the cop activity to die down, talking about characters and stuff like that, showing who they are as people. But no, they don't do that. It's a frustrating, and it's one of the more frustrating scenes with the Red Lotus because it's so unnecessary. It's like an action scene for the sake of an action scene, and we'll see more of it as the thing goes on. But really strong part of the episodes here with Lynn getting acupuncture. And yeah, it's just the idea that decisions can like affect your chi and put it out of balance, and as Lynn like even block it to some extent, and how acupuncture can help it kind of flow and help her kind of remember and see the kind of past with more clarity. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, here we get to see young Sue and older Lynn. And it's just interesting, like, we get this flashback. It's very to the point, like, the flashbacks in Avatar and some of the other ones in Korra give you extra information on all of other stuff, but the flashbacks here are very to the point. They show a very specific thing, just that Sue is more of a rebel, and Lynn is more kind of doing kind of like what her mother did, like wanting to become the next chief of police and being more about order and stuff like that. Like, there's no information on their fathers. They don't mention the fathers here. They leave that till book 4. But anyway, this is a nice connection. Just that Sue collects meteorites, and meteorites are revealed to be kind of easier to manipulate with metal bending. And obviously, Toph had a meteorite bracelet. It's just a cool reveal. Though makes it kind of a weird thing, just like Sokka's space sword is suddenly not as awesome anymore because, okay, Metalbender could just like, it's easier to bend Sokka's space sword than a normal sword, like, oh, sorry. But yeah, Bolin really wants to metal bend, and like they revealed that, Toph has always been his, I think it's earlier on revealed that Toph is his hero. He's always wanted to learn metal bending ever since he heard about her, and it's a dream of his to actually learn metal bending and be able to do that, be a bit like Toph. But he ends up being almost even more special than Toph, learning lava bending. And the big thing here is just lack of confidence, and you see a really nice scene with him and Opal. I think it's towards the end of this episode. I think it's towards the end of this episode that we get the really cool scene with Opal and Bolin kind of supporting each other. But for now, we see Korra's first attempt at metal bending, pretty much. And yeah, we know that she's basically really good at just adapting to kind of physical bending. Like, once she deals with that kind of more philosophical kind of side of each element, the emotions surrounding it, she adapts to bending very quickly, and it makes sense that a more physical bending, like metal bending, would really she'd really take to it very quickly, which she does, and that kind of like, oh, Korra got it straight away, and I have kind of tried my whole life in little chunks to do it, but haven't got it. And he's beginning to lose hope. But yeah, we then skip a few years on, and we have Lynn now clearly a full-on officer, and she seemed more like a kind of junior officer before. Police chase through Republic City a couple years ago, and yeah, this is obviously the kind of leading to the real issue here. In that the interesting thing, it's not necessarily that Sue scarred Lynn. Like, the old wound of the title is not the scar that Sue ends up giving Lynn. It's more of what Sue kind of running away from her past, running away from her actions, kind of led to Toph doing, and Toph, what happened with Toph and her job and stuff like that. That's what she's annoyed about, that Sue seems to never, I suppose, accept what happened, and kind of like just says, okay, everyone has a second chance and it's fine. She starts to have hallucinations because she kind of leaves the treatment before it's over. And it's just really interesting to see just how big of an impact kind of just being out of balance within yourself can actually just have on your body, especially as a bender, where you actually use the chi in your body for your abilities. And yeah, Sue is the one that Lynn was chasing. And the big thing here is just that she wants Sue to just, I suppose, just take responsibility for what she's done and just accept that what she's doing is bad. And she's clearly got away with a lot of stuff over the past couple of years. And Lynn has kind of hit the final straw. She's arresting Sue. Sue's going to pay for some of the stuff she did. And as she goes to arrest her, rightfully so, because she was driving a getaway car, she kind of resists arrest, which is something even bad. But worse than that, she inadvertently led to the two scars, as you see there on Lynn's face. And they don't really represent that she hates Sue for scarring her, but she hates Sue for her kind of attitude and the way she takes responsibility, and how other people's have to kind of smooth over the situation that Sue creates, as Toph does later on. And yeah, here we come back to this little Red Lotus thing. It's the most forgettable part of the series with regards to the Red Lotus. It's just they're escaping the city. Why is it important that we see them sneaking out of the city? It's really weird. I get that, okay, everyone knew that Zahir was on Air Temple Island after the fight with Kaya, and then he fled, and then it would make sense that they're chased. But you don't really need to show them full on escaping the place. It's really weird, especially with the amount of time they devote to it, a big action scene, and just again showing off how great they are at bending. But you could be the best bender in the world, but if you're not interesting as a character, it doesn't really mean a lot. And especially with Gazan and Minghua, you get a little bit on Pili, but still not that much. You just don't really know who they are. At all. Up until this point in time, we don't know a lot about any of them. Even Zahir at this point, we don't know a lot about even. And, Bolin, we're just grabbing a meteorite, gonna test out, can he do it just like Korra can, but, Opal is going to arrive, I believe. Thinking about my body, mustache. Yeah, I think this is this really nice scene, actually, I was talking about. There we go. Yeah, he's been wanting to metal bend ever since he learned about Toph, and it's his dream. And he's finally around people who can teach him, but it's not really working out so much. And she just tells him to stop being scared, and then he kind of turns around and her and says, "You need to stop being scared as well. You want to go and train with Tenzin, but you're afraid because your family doesn't want. Your mother really doesn't want you to. But it's something you need to do. As I said in the last episode commentary, it's nice to see the two supporting each other, but also it's important for Opal's character arc, in that of all of the members of her family, she's the one who, until she got airbending, you got the sense that she didn't really kind of have something of her own like her other siblings had that were special. And so all of a sudden she gets airbending. This is her chance to do her thing, fight her goal in life, I suppose. And here's the introduction of older Toph. And yeah, she has to send Sue away because, and she basically gets to step down fairly soon after this because of what she does here, tearing up the arrest report, and it's just, she kind of a little bit ruins her reputation here as the chief of police, and she can't have her daughter be in jail, as she says there. And there's what Lynn's talking about, no consequences for Sue's actions. She never has to face what she does on her own. She always has someone kind of make it up for her. And that's the root of the problems. It's not the scar. It's what Sue, being such a rebel, caused Toph to do, and just the way they were treated and stuff like that. It's very interesting. And obviously, Lynn has kind of come after Sue here and settle scores in a very physical way. Waiting list. But no, interruption. And this is a really cool fight, actually. Just a really, it's our first real, Earth Metalbender fight. It's really strong. In addition to that, they are siblings, and Avatar always does those kind of, family fights really well. They haven't talked in 30 years, and now they're finally going to do it. Yeah, she's calling her out for it. You could have taken responsibility for it, and she's just kind of explaining away, but it all worked out, stuff like that. It's a really complex situation, but it's all coming out here. Made some mistakes. And she's changed, but she's almost using the fact that she's changed as a way to kind of avoid taking responsibility for things of the past. And yes, she has resolved things with Toph, but Lynn hasn't. Lynn is the one holding on to the past and won't change, but when she actually needs to change. And then, the big kind of insult there, I understand why Tenza broke up 2 years ago. And yeah, a pretty awesome fight here. Lynn obviously a little bit weaker because she's obviously just been through such a kind of emotional experience with the acupuncture and stuff like that. So, but still, it's a really strong fight to see these two go at it. All part of the healing process. And this is, I suppose, where Opal, she has really one of her strong moments where she kind of comes in and interrupts this, and kind of just makes it puts into perspective the things that they're really kind of going at each other here. This isn't just a little sparring match. This is a fight. They're going to hurt each other here. But yeah, just really cool in Zaofu. There's a lot of metal just all over the place. It allows you to have a lot of metal bending in fights when otherwise a lot of times it's kind of hard to just have metal bending just be there in fights. But Zaofu is everywhere, and it's really well done. And here we go. Lane, obviously exhausted after that emotional experience, is kind of on the defensive. But here we go. Opal arrives, I mean. Obvious question, why would they want to hurt each other, regardless of what happened in the past? Why would they want to hurt each other? And just really, you kind of question Lynn's actions. Yes, she wanted to kind of get her anger out and emotions out, but why was she kind of trying to hurt Sue? And they're all arguing about who wants to go in and talk after this dramatic situation with her. I was just stop talking, guys, I'll do it. And basically this is her the Earth King moment where she wakes up and is completely changed and she's happier. And they're all whoa, who is this? It makes sense because of that connection, but it's really interesting to see Lynn, who's otherwise so kind of tough, rough, be much nicer character. In the K306, obviously based on Brian Konietzko's second name. And here's Opal, and we get the kind of the scene that goes with, I suppose, one of the final scenes from the previous episode, where Lynn obviously snapped at Opal, and now we get the kind of return scene, where Lynn actually talks more to Opal. And it's a good apology. It works, complicated relationship. That's one way of putting it. I like how Lane is the one to really kind of put into perspective, like, that this is what you have to do. You have to do what you want to do, not what you think your mother wants you to do. And Lane is ultimately the one who inspires kind of Opal to actually tell her parents that this is what she really wants to do. So I like that the return conversation is not just an apology; it's also an important thing for Opal. That Lane's advice helps Opal. You know, don't make the same mistakes I did. I tried to just follow in the footsteps of my mother, and it didn't work out so much for me. You have to do your own thing. And she just says that this is what she really wants to do, and so Sue, you were kind of wondering what the whole protective parent thing was going to be, but she understands that this is something that Opal needs to do. And then here we go, the nice sister scene. She was glad Opal was honest with her and wants her to do what was happy. Too little freedom. And that's interesting, just like that she's accepting that her being sent away was ultimately good for her. And just like, because Lynn has been in contact with Toph, Sue kind of informs her that their mother is proud of her, so that's interesting. That, like, it's revealed that obviously from Toph in book 4 that she has been keeping track of them from the swamp, because she can connect to the swamp and naturally knows where they are. So that ends up being like a cool scene as well. Just that it makes sense that Toph is keeping track of them and is proud of the job that Lynn has done as chief of police. And here we go, Zahir. And then this is obviously like a reveal that, like, he right now he's meeting Ai Wei in the spirit world, and Ai Wei has just told him that she's in the Metal Clan in Zaofu, and that's our kind of setup for like the next like episode, the attack of the Red Lotus on Zaofu and stuff like that. So that's the episode, and yeah, really heavy focus on the Beifong, specifically Lin and Sue, with a decent amount of Opal, actually. Opal is actually really good in this episode because she's important in kind of, I suppose, healing the bonds between Sue and Lin, but she's also important with regards to like her relationship with Bolin. They both kind of help each other to not be afraid and kind of pursue their dreams, regardless of if they may think they'll fail and stuff like that. So that's important. The not so good, the unnecessary Red Lotus escape from the city section. That is just bit of kind of time that could have went elsewhere in the series, but other than that, really solid episode. And yeah, I'll see you next time around for the next episode 7. But yeah, it's been the episode commentary for K306 Old Wounds. Thanks for listening, and bye.